Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Quick preface before we hit the intro. I wanted to explain what you're about to watch. I am going through the entire process of creating and making a Swedish torch or Swedish candle. I think I call it a candle in this one. But I want you to understand, I didn't cut anything out of this. I fast forwarded a whole lot because let's face it, it's a very long, it took me about an hour and a half. I did a video on one where I drilled a hole in the top of the log and then into the side. That one took a couple hours to get to a kind of a burnable state. So I just want you to understand this is not an easy process. I see these things on YouTube all the time, on Instagram. It looks like the guys will use a chainsaw and cut that square, or they'll split the log, pull it together with some baling wire, and in next scene it's all burning and everybody's happy and cooking hot dogs. No, that's not at all. These aren't stealthy. They create a lot of smoke. The one that I just did, or I'm going to show you here, 12 hours in an oven at 175 degrees after that was already a dead standing log. That's aspen, which is good and bad. Good because it's light wood and should burn really quickly, and bad because it absorbs moisture pretty quickly. But anyway, this one was bone dry. The surface was bone dry, and it's still an hour and a half to get to not even really a usable state. Not even usable state. So I would say if you're going to do this, pine is really your only option. Spruce, pine, firs, those type of wood with really flammable sap. Most everything else is not going to work. I've done it with cherry, oak, aspen. So cherry, oak, aspen, blue spruce, Douglas fir, white pine, cottonwood, and one kind of trashy looking plant that did have growing right over here in my yard just behind this, blue spruce. Not sure what it is, red bark, but anyway, it is not easy. They're not easy, or they're not convenient. They're kind of cool once they get going if you've got the right material, but it is a very long, very tedious, very obnoxious process. So another one of those things I just call Instagram bushcraft. If you're out in the wild and you need to rely on something for survival cooking food, this is not it. This is fun. That's it. They really serve no other purpose. But anyway, love you faces, and let's hit the intro and see you on the flip side. Welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about Swedish candles, different types of Swedish candles. A Swedish candle is basically a log that you split in either quarters to drill a hole down, put an air vent in either side or one side. And this inner side traps heat, cooks food, yada, yada, yada. We're going to make a couple. I'm going to talk to you about the pros and the cons and all the ifs and buts and whens and whys and hows. Now, number one rule about this kind of thing is the wood has to be absolutely dry. Now, I had this sitting out. It's been dead for a couple years, dead standing. I cut it into sections. This is aspen, and aspen likes to store water like crazy. So what I did was, pardon, you're going to hear some kid noises in the background because kids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this into quarters, and then we're going to talk about this. So rule number one, like I said, it has to be bone dry. Now this one sat in the oven for, it should be white, but because it was in the oven, it browned it a little. It sat in the oven at around 170 to 200 degrees for, I'm not kidding, 12 hours. I tried to do this once before, and I'm not kidding. I sat this thing in the oven, or the one I did before this, for a good 6 hours, and it still had moisture in it. When it got to around this, burned a little bit of the inside out, it started to boil moisture and it put itself out. So it has to be bone dry. Now we'll see if that was long enough for this one. I thought it was dry to begin with, so I put it in the oven. So anyway, we are going to split this thing into quarters with the tiniest knife you ever saw, and I'm kidding. And we will see you in a second. Let's get that done. Usually to split these things, you want to find where the cracks are running. If you can find two cracks that run right straight through the wood, like this guy here, and then another one through here, that is where you want to try to split the wood. So that's what we are going to do, is split it on that crack. That's a little trick you can try. You stick your hatchet in there and then turn it around and use its own weight to help split it. You'll see that works pretty darn good. So there's two halves. And now we're going to do this side here. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. just so that it you can put it back together in roughly the same order you had it in. So there's a 1/2 and 2/4. I suppose you could do this with a knife if you really wanted. Let's try it out here. Stick the knife in, and you're going to want something to baton with. Fortunately, I got a lot of dead aspens, so batoning ain't a big issue. Now, this knife is just barely too small to get in there. Yeah, that ain't going to work with that knife. I do have a couple other knives, so I'm going to get them, but we're going to give it a try anyway. The thickness of the knife blade makes a big difference in whether or not you're going to be able to baton anything. Goodness. Yeah, nope. Scratch that. Back to the axe. Whew. Where are you at? There you at. That's another way to split baton like that if you can. There we go. Okay, so now that we've got our quarters and they fit together right like that or something close to that, like that, you can do it just like this if you want and just set them out so that they sit kind of in an area like that, and they'll eventually burn and fall over as the weight from the inside of this thing gets let me adjust you here, gets distributed, burns away, so it'll counterbalance on the outside. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it'll get heavier on this side and tip over if it leans like that. So I've seen a lot of folks take wire and wrap this together, and I don't do that because you do, especially in the beginning, you want airflow to get in through these bottom cracks and kind of feed the fire. So I like to kind of set them a bit away from each other. And you can also cut the core out. Yeah, that's an option you do, and I'm going to do it here so that I can put things down inside. Now, the second thing you need to understand about this is there's a lot of videos, 5-10 minute videos out there of people setting these up, getting them going and rocking and rolling, cooking the hot dogs and the skewers and everything on there in like 20 seconds. That's not going to happen. Not by a long shot. They take time. You got to heat this whole material up to critical temperature, to burning temperature, turn it into an ember before this even wants to go anywhere. So you're going to have to babysit it. So moisture is number one. Second is they take time. So you're going to have to be patient. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay these out like this, and I'm going to work on one, and I am going to take a bit of the core out so that I've got room to put material down into the center of this thing. Now, one thing to keep in mind, save all of this innard material because you'll be using it in a minute. So let me quickly do that. I'll fast forward through that and I'll explain the number 3 step. All right, now that you got it all cored out, we can put her back together. Is that upside down? Sure will. And you're just gonna let it kind of hold itself. Now, if you got one that's uneven like this because of an odd cut, or like this one's mashed on this one side, just shim it up. No big deal, right? Just want to put something underneath it to kind of keep it into this group. And that's really it. That's your the beginnings of your Swedish candle. And then you want to do is feed material in there. If you're worried about this tipping over, you can wrap it. You can put nails or something in the ground, or even put rocks up against it like I've done to, not here, but I've done before, to keep the thing from tipping over, falling, everything. Now, number 3 is your base needs to be really dry as well. Once this heats up, if steam comes off of there, you're going to have some big problems. So you want to keep your base has got to be perfectly dry as well. Let's put some gloves on. The outside of this won't get hot, but the inside will be pretty toasty. So let's do some things. I've got a bunch of shavings. I've got the shavings from before, and I also have a fatwood stick, and I'm going to take some fatwood shavings here and make them, but I'm getting ahead of myself. What I want to do is take some of these smaller pieces and just drop them down inside the center. So it's going to need, like I said, it's going to need some fuel. And you're going to want to sit here and feed this thing. It's got to have something to burn. So I'm going to stick some of those down in there. Come on, let's go. Behave, be good. It's probably why some people wire these things together. You don't have to pick, actually, I'm going to be picky. You don't have to, but I'm gonna. Even a small insulated wire that is going to burn is good enough to keep them all into a shape. So I'm just gonna wrap this thing around here and doesn't have to be perfect, but just good enough. So I'm gonna do it just like that. It's not the best, but I don't care. And now, if you've got some kind of shavings handy, you need that. I happen to have a bag of shavings because I play with knives so much. And you can just stick some of those inside here like this, and ashes are going to be falling down in there, and all kinds of action. So stick some of that in there. You want to leave some room for oxygen and such, but just get something in there. You got to have something that catch the fire and burn. And I'm not kidding, this log's not going to do that for a while. So you got to be patient with these things. So I'm going to put some of these curls down in there. Just pack a bit in there, give it enough space to breathe. It's going to be kind of like an upside down fire. It'll just burn its way down. And Bob's your uncle, so they say. I bonked my finger on a nail. All right, step number 3, 4, 5, whatever we're on. Next thing I'm gonna do is I need something nice and flammable to start and carry this spark. So I'm getting some of these shavings in here. This is a fatwood stick, and so hard. Yeah, now you can see it. Tell because it smells great. And I'm just curling off some shavings here for to use in this fire. Don't have to go quick, or you don't have to be fancy about it like you see on the bushcraft shows. Just something like that is enough to catch a spark and help burn this thing. So that's the next step, is we're gonna light this thing and see if we can do something. Now, it drives me crazy when I watch people use ferro rods and they're like jamming a knife into their fire. Pull the ferro rod back, for crying out loud. You will not put your fire out nearly as often as if you just grab that ferro rod and pull it back. Now this is a terrible spine on this thing. It's technically a carpenter's knife, but it's working out all right. So I'm gonna use a little striker that it came with. Now you can use a match or a lighter or whatever you want to do there. Thought I saw flame. Alright, now once we get a little fire going, you're going to have to babysit this. Like I said, you're going to have to babysit this thing a lot. Kind of a pain, so I'm going to move you guys back a little bit so I don't melt my camera. And now it's burning, but it's going to go out and in and out and in. It's going to take a long time to actually do anything. So just like that, you might be out of a fire. And the problem with that is there's no airflow. So we're going to give another spark. You'll see the smoke wants to light. There we go. Mark my words, it is dry, but airflow and heat are the problems. I see there's fire down underneath. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys can't see this, but we got fire down in there. It's slowly burning its way up and out. I'm going to kind of let it do its thing and see how it goes. Maybe make a path for it to come up. Look at all that smoke. Just show you that smoke burns. Or you can see the smoke igniting. There we go. Again, you're gonna have to babysit this thing, so just let it keep doing its thing. Find a nice chair to sit on. That's one type. I got another type over here. Pull this guy around. This one is not easy to work with. This guy right here. So what I've done with it is I drilled a hole in the center, and then down here at the base somewhere, if I can find it, is the the other hole. Right there, you can see it. And you can light that hole, but it takes forever to heat a log up like that to get it to work right. So, sticking with this littler one here, I'm just letting it go and see what we come up with. But like I said, if I look at the time, we've been going about 10 minutes. I think these things are kind of gimmicky because they just take so much work to get the simplest thing to happen. So there is a lot of work involved in getting this thing done, and a lot of babysitting, which I hate to do. Once it burns all these curls, it's just a real pain to continue. So you got to keep feeding it. You don't want to stuff it so that it can't breathe, though. But even so, it should be pulling air through the middle here, down at the bottom and whatnot. So I don't know. You do you. There we go. This is the second time. Or third. Try to open it up down here. Get a little airflow into the bottom. So I want it to draft, pull air up from underneath to the top. As we get that all the time. Do got fire in there still, it's just the smoke is not igniting, so we have no what you call secondary burn. But I think it's out. Let's see what we got. Again, like I said a dozen times now, it takes a lot of work to get these things to go. There we go. Got a fire deep in there right now. And it's out. How typical. Supposedly it works a bit better with bigger logs, but I've seen little tiny logs used, so who knows. This is what I won't call an Instagram bushcraft survival technique. It's not practical, let's put it that way. Not by a long shot. And you need a lot of flammable material. Like I'm using a pretty decent sized piece of fat wood, and we're still having issues with it. And the amount of smoke it puts out is pretty ridiculous. Still, it's pretty cool watching the smoke go. You gonna burn? Ridiculous. Instagram bushcraft. It is not a practical thing. It takes a lot of heat to get logs to burn, and this is just one example of that. So if you don't have fat wood, you're just SOL, I think, or some type of high combustible ignition source. If you do have fat wood, sometimes it just doesn't want to work. Like this. Do we have it? No, we don't. Not yet. Not yet. It's getting better. And even if you think you have it, you still want to feed it stuff. You just don't want to smother it so that you can't get the heat and flames to come up. So it really needs to burn all the way through the length of this thing. Looks like we're going to lose it. Again, not surprised though. It's not bad though. It's holding together pretty good this time. Like we're losing it though. The flame only exists right here at the surface, so without it going all the way from top to bottom, it just goes out again. And there's not enough heat yet to make it work. Nope, gonna lose it again. There's a fire down there, so I'm just gonna let it go for a second. Let's see what it does. Should call this a Swedish smoker. No candling about this thing. You light a candle, you can walk away. This thing, nope. Good gravy, man. That's why you never see me do these things. Ugh, I feel like a chain smoker. They're absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely absurd at how much time and energy and smoke they produce. And forget about not breathing it in, because it's like you saw, just absolute smoke everywhere. And that's the reality. I've done like 6 of these. I've never had one not be that way. Dry, wet, anything in the between, poof, off you go again. And now it's just a big smokestack. And Bill, I'll burn your face off doing that. Again, this is normal. This is how they are. There's no flame inside. It's just burning the smoke on the top there. Pretty cool, but it's a pain. Out they go again. Let me show you how flammable the smoke is. You can see the smoke will light and stay lit for a second. Now we got fire down at the bottom. There's plenty of airflow. There's absolutely plenty of airflow. I got 2 large gaps on either side here, so popping indicates there might be moisture though. But this piece of wood is full of bugs. Just fire down at the bottom. I don't like this flame going out because it just smokes so bad. Like if you're trying to do a stealth fire, this ain't it. Not even by a long shot. How long have we gone? 30 minutes now? Yeah. Record time 38 minutes, so yeah. 40 minutes in, we can't do anything. By this time, I would be able to cook on my fire. So it's not stealthy, it's not handy, it's not helpful. It's such a pain. And I challenge anyone to find this in a way that is not like this, because again, I've done a lot of these and they're all this way. Once it gets going, they're fabulous, but getting it going is just a pill and a half. Absolute pill and a half. Should I just stick the rest of this in there? Trying to look down there. There goes my eyebrows. You can pick this up and move it around. I wouldn't recommend it because if you got any kind of coals down on the bottom from what you've been feeding it, picking it up, you'll lose them all. Okay, going out again. And there it goes. Never again, guys. This is ridiculous. And the thing of it is, the sides up here, they're not even smoldering. There's no moisture boiling. If you can't get the burn up there, you ain't gonna get nothing out of this thing. Time I'm done, I'm just gonna have a fire on the bottom here. Come on, come on, let's go. All right. Messing around enough. Let's figure out what's going on here. This is particularly a lot of trouble. What the heck are you doing, logs? Got a lot of coals in there. Ain't you burning, huh? Oh, I found fire. Ain't supposed to burn out on this side, but whatever. I'm just not. I don't care anymore. I want this thing to go. See, this is a problem. Shouldn't be doing that. It's burning on the inside, but it ain't burning on the inside. It's burning up the sides. Look at it go, yee yee. It's burning on this side now. Like I said, guys, this is the bet. These are all this way. Real dumb way to do things. How long have you been going? 45 minutes. Still no sustainable fire. Sustained, I should say. And then we're done again. Just making a whole lot of smoke. I want to alert everybody in the whole world to your presence. Got an idea how you could do it. Tried the cherry, pine, aspen, and maple. Same results every time. Same results every time. I smell so strong of smoke. So I also have the other kind here, which is equally fun to do. Got a hole down at the base there. If I want to spend another 45 minutes taking material in and out of it, I could actually get this to go, kind of, maybe, in an hour, but I'm not doing it. Alright, I think I made my point here. I could sit here another 40 minutes and have a nice little Swedish log fire. I could bust this thing open and have a look here. See, these things are bone dry. There's absolutely no moisture coming off of this thing. It does not wish to burn. So I must say 40 minutes. If it's not burning, it ain't gonna burn. It's gonna sit here and smoke and smoke and smolder and smoke for hours. So if you want to do that, I mean, that be my guest. Go to town, go crazy, knock yourself out. And again, I've done this with all kinds of wood. Not just this is aspen. It's a very light wood. I tried it because I figured it would work well. Nope. Swedish Torch. That's a big fat. Ain't gonna happen with me. So yeah, that's 45 minutes, and it's done with smoke, 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 and you see very little ember creation. This one has a decent amount, but unless the whole thing, top to bottom, is an ember, it's not going to produce anything for you. So, just like a feather stick, maybe it has its place, but not with me. It don't. Ain't gonna happen. Nope. So anyway, love your faces. Thank you for joining me. If you like this kind of stuff, then go ahead and slap the sub button, and hopefully we'll see you around. So, bye.